One of these days, I swear, maybe for April, I'm just going to play the theme and then that's it. Because once we're going to do it.
It's a great song. Why
People
not?
go, was there no show today? Yeah, there's no show. They just played the song. So dumb.
Would that be like the
at
the end of the...
I know you were. You've been sick for a week now, I think.
I'm better. It was a wretched
hang
week.
on
It was
a second. I apologize. I didn't have your. I forgot to turn your mic on. Hey, Coach Tim, how are you, man?
I'm better. Yes, I was sick last week. It was the week from heck. But no, I emerged back into the land of the living. Maybe my voice hasn't. Monday. So crawling back to 80% maybe.
Yeah, it's a lot of people had that cold, and it's was it like a head cold or in your throat or in your chest? Because you were pretty whacked out there for a couple of days.
Sinuses. It was just Yeah,
Oh,
just like walking around like my head weighed 300 pounds. The weird thing is that now you can like not do shit. You got all this time to read. You don't have to return emails. You have permission, but you don't feel like reading. Don't feel like watching anything. It was just, please let me sleep. But damn it, I can't sleep.
What does that for people listening maybe who have the same cold? It's the Canadian cold. Was there something that was working for you better than others, or?
You mean in terms of medications I might have been taking?
Medications or any kind of drugs?
Nothing seemed to really help.
Really?
I did the Tylenol night and day thing. Realized how they spell night and day in French. And but Neocitrin was nice. I had a couple of those and just help me at night, So that was okay. But I gobbled down the vitamin C and vitamin D, but it just persisted for a week, and then I just woke up Monday with like, whoa, better. Slight, a lot better.
Well, I'm glad, man.
So I'm gonna just go here. I'm gonna go right here.
Okay.
I just feel so remiss that I haven't checked in with you. You're in Mexico, where it's been going crazy down there with the cartel and all that stuff.
And I want to answer your questions, but first I want to say this program is brought to you by TaylorMade QI 4D drivers, Tim. The fastest, most fittable drivers. It's time to find your new fast. The TaylorMade QI 4D driver. I think Rory's playing it. He's made it. It's his gamer. That's what they call it. I think Scottish. I think Scottish Scheffler. I think he's changed his name to Scottish Scheffler.
Yeah.
He's using it. And I got fit for it a few weeks ago before I came down here. And it's ridiculously fast. The fastest, most fittable driver. And they call it that because it really is designed to fit everybody, not just the elite players and pros. You'll find yourself with 8 to 10 yards further off the tee. This is if you haven't had one for a while, you haven't been fit, or you haven't gotten into TaylorMade, now's the time to return the QI 4D driver. Also brought to you by Par for Success. And we'll talk about that more later in the show. How you doing, man? Oh, yeah, so Mexico. Well, you know what? You're not remiss. I think, you've been sick. I will say a lot of people have reached out to me because of the Humble and Fred show and because of my personal contacts, and they're all like, are you okay? And my response is, man, I'm in the cartel. Anyway, no, I'm 1,200 miles from Puerto Vallarta, and nowhere near like where I live on the Mayan Riviera, the coast. It's like if somebody said, "Hey, I'm not going to Toronto because there's something going on in Winnipeg or I don't know, Regina." Yeah. It's a long way away.
Okay, cool.
But having said that, my middle brother, Stephen, who I don't know if I've mentioned him. My brother David has gotten mentioned on the show. He was there until Friday. So the unrest or whatever, all the stuff started blowing up, I think Saturday or Sunday. But he just left the day before. Here's another crazy story. My sister-in-law's daughter lives in Calgary, is getting married in a couple months. So her and a couple of girlfriends were on their way to Puerto Vallarta on Sunday, and the plane got halfway there and turned around.
Oh man. Oh,
A lot of Canadians were stranded, but even more Canadians were like, think about it. If you've been like saving up and you had this holiday planned and then all of a sudden this happens and that's it, canceled. Having said that, though, it has been basically resolved. Another in my golf buddy group, one of the guys is actually in Puerto Vallarta, and he said, yeah, he's as of now, this is Wednesday, February 25th. He's making a tee time for tomorrow. It's all basically been returned to normal.
yeah, I heard it simmered down relatively quickly. You know what's interesting for these, man, what a drag to have your holiday yanked out from under you. But imagine how many Canadians who have maybe gone to the United States in the South in the winter went, okay, let's do Mexico because we ain't going,
Yes.
where the orange one is. And now people are going to think, oh, wow, can't even go to Mexico, or let's be careful.
Well, the Canadian government put out a threat level for this area that I'm in, which is Cancun, Playa del Carmen, and Tulum, because it's sort of like standard practice when something happens somewhere in Mexico, they have to put out a warning or a cautionary note for all of Mexico. But like I said, this area is very safe. I've been coming down here for years. I've been to Puerto Vallarta as well. It's very beautiful.
Yeah.
But the problem, I mean, the drag of it is people have already had, as you say, they were already thinking of changing their plans or have changed their plans. But I would just tell anyone listening, like, it's like going anywhere else. You have, be careful. Like, the only people that ever get in trouble here are people that are doing things to get themselves in trouble. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's not a lot of random acts of tourists being hassled. And that thing that happened in Puerto Vallarta, that's a political, issue, not an issue for the people of Mexico. Really, you know what I mean? Like, generally, wherever you go here, it's pretty safe.
Yeah, I've been a couple of times. Note, I changed the setting on my microphone, so if it's changed my volume or anything.
No, it sounds fine.
Okay, good. Yeah, Sandy and I have been to Mexico, I think 3 times, and there's always like any place you go that there's some simmering issues, discontent, criminality, if you will. There's a bit of worry somewhere, but we've never had, even a titch of worry, if you will, about anything like that. But you know what? It makes me think about it's really easy to make this grand assumption that some place where you hear of something is just a smoldering mess, the entire country. I think a lot of people thought of that of, like, say, Northern Ireland and Belfast. I've been to Belfast, and yes, way, way after the troubles were over, but where it would happen was in a very small little area. And
Exactly.
I don't know, I'm stretching this, but I remember I used to live, when I lived in Toronto, I lived at the corner of Carlton and Sherbourne. And sometimes, like an idiot, I would walk down Sherbourne to Adelaide to work at UPI. And there's not a lot of savory characters there, but you just keep your nose out of, you just keep walking and stay out of trouble and you're fine.
Dude, I worked at Young and Dundas and Young and Shooter for years.
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly.
And I got there in the middle of the night. I got to work at 4:35 in the morning, and yes, there's people on the street, but no one ever bothered me. But what you said about it being isolated, like even the people in Puerto Vallarta, Fred's Humble and Fred, his sister Nancy is staying in Puerto Vallarta right now, and during all of the stuff that happened last weekend. She didn't know any of it because where they were, their resort or wherever their little community was, it was nowhere near where anything was happening. So you could literally have been in Puerto Vallarta last weekend and only seen what was going on social media, on television.
Yeah, it's really interesting how people just get on with life. I mean, I've been reading about how people in Ukraine, what is it, year 5 of, being having the hellions from Russia invading and bombing. People are still going to movies, to restaurants,
Absolutely.
doing things, going dancing, stuff like that. You got to keep going.
No, and that's a great example, and I've heard someone else said that earlier in the week on the show that if you lived in Ukraine, there are parts of it you never know anything was going on. But all by way of saying I'm fine, everybody's fine. I've been here since Friday.
Great.
I'm on day 5. We've been doing the show, the Humble and Fred show. I'm doing Swing Thoughts. I'm going to be down here for a long time. And I've got to, I don't know how to start this now that we're going to turn to golf. Because I've been golfing, obviously.
On a golf show? We're talking about golf? Oh, my.
So in the 10 years that we've been doing this show, I think it's pretty well known now that, golf spiritual leader, yes, I've ascended, but one of the things that has not been bestowed upon me, unfortunately, is a hole-in-one. I forget. Have you had one?
Yeah, I call it my ace with an asterisk because it was on an AstroTurf golf course in downtown Toronto. It was 93 yards. So
I know the one you mean, the little the par 3 course. It's still you still did it.
I know, but I think that more of a hole-in-one should be a flighted 2-iron or something.
That's right. Yeah, my hole-in-one was a 2-iron on the old course. Hey, listen, man, you were on a par 3. It doesn't matter the length, and you got the ball in the hole. Well, that's never ever happened to me. Famously, and among my golf peer group, it's kind of a bit of a running gag. And I always say, yes, I've had an albatross, which is better than a honeyman. But it's still me. It's still me trying to prop up my fragile ego by saying, yeah, but so. And weirdly, part of the weirdness of the story for people who don't know it is I played golf since 1971, and it wasn't until 2013 that I was even in a group where somebody got a hole-in-one. Like, have you witnessed others getting one?
Witnessed one, and it was at Blue Springs about 5 years ago. I'll be very quick. 5th hole, par 3. We're down at the whites, and so the tee is kind of below the green, and there's a bunker on the right side.
Yes.
And so it's kind of got this built-up face, and the pin's behind it. So my buddy Doug hits the ball and whatever. And then we go up there and can't find it. And look around. And finally someone goes, well, what the hell? And he looks in the hole. Hey, Doug. And anyways, I yell back at Angus McLean, I think his name is. Angus, Doug had a hole-in-one. He yells back, that's the quietest hole-in-one I've ever seen.
That's great.
Because it wasn't like you see it go in and yelling, but just quick one. I got a story. I'm working away last summer, and my phone goes. My son, Sean, he never phones me during the day. I pick up the phone, and all I can hear is yelling, and Sean's going, oh my God, Owen got a hole-in-one. Like his buddy on a hole-in-one hole with a car.
No.
Popped it in. Yeah, for a $38,000 SUV type of thing that he won. And so he sends me the video. Man, it's hysterical. All these guys roaring around, high-fiving, falling down. Oh,
That's
goodness.
so
it was just exactly what you want. So that hole-in-one I witnessed, the exact opposite of Sean's buddy's hole-in-one.
So I go all this way in my life. In 2013, I joined Club Link, and my brother David, who's living next door to me here, a pretty avid golfer. He likes to play, and he gets a hole-in-one in the 3rd hole on Scotch Block, and I am more excited than him because it's the first one I've ever witnessed.
Oh, wow.
Then later that summer, playing with a good player, Tim Southcott, I saw him get a hole-in-one on what's the other course? Copperhead at Rattlesnake. It's the first par 3 there. I think it's the 2nd hole or 3rd hole.
Over the gulch.
So those are the only 2 I'd ever seen. No, I apologize. I saw another one with my buddy Paul. So I've seen 3 of them. Never had one, but I've seen 3. So we're playing here at this course, the local course in Puerto Aventuras is where I'm living. And the day before this happened, I was playing the last hole, which is a par 3. It's about 160 yards. And I think it's my 2nd round of the year here, and I hit a really nice shot. And it was kind of everyone in the group goes, hey, good swing, whatever, nice shot. One of those ones, as soon as I hit it, I knew I hit it well. And it kind of cut toward the hole and then disappeared for a second. I was like, oh, shit, is that it? And then I saw it bounce, and I took a picture of it because it was 1 foot past the hole, meaning that for the same amount of effort, it could have gone in.
Oh, totally. Yes.
And so we're all like, hey, good shot. And then, of course, the story comes up. Howard's never had one. Ha ha. Anyway, the next day I'm playing with one of the guys in that group. And we go on the golf course. The first hole's a par 4, the second hole's a par 3. So now it's the first par 3 that we've played since the day before when I finished on that par 3 with a kick-in birdie. So I get up, and now we're playing from the shorter tee, so maybe it's 140. And I hit a ball, same type of swing. You know, as soon as I hit it, I knew I hit it well. Ball goes up in the air, and it's cutting toward the hole, and it lands 3 feet from the hole. Everyone's, good shot, good shot. Yeah, it's cool, Again, not in. And my buddy Amin, his name's Amin. He's a great guy. Big, tall dude from Calgary. He gets up, and he hits it, and it bounces before the hole, and I can see it's only 140 yards. So you can clearly see it go bounce, 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 disappears on the hole.
Oh, my goodness.
And I'm freaking out again because now this is only the fourth one I've ever seen in my life, and I'm high-fiving him, and we get to the green, and I say, just wait a second, and I get my phone because I want to show the video for him and my buddies. And so the video starts with me saying, okay, here's we're going to the green. I say, so you see in the video my ball. I go, that's a pretty good shot. It's 3 feet from the hole, but it's not as good as this one. And then Amin goes in and he picks the ball out, and everything's happy and joyous until he holds the ball up to my camera and says, "This is number 8."
Oh my goodness.
I'm like, you can hear my voice go from elated to deflated. I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. He goes, it's, in Spanish, he goes, numero ocho. I go, this is such bullshit, man. 8 hole-in-ones, and he's a decent player. I mean, he's a good player, 6-7 handicap. But 8 of them? 8? So I don't know. I don't know what I have to do.
Oh, well, I don't know. Now I know you don't believe in the divine or anything, but you don't have any sins you need to let go over anything.
Apparently.
You don't need to be absolved.
I gotta go talk to somebody. But it was cool, and it's a funny thing when you watch it because I have had
8. Wow.
I've had many over my lifetime shots from the fairway. I had one the other day where I hit it to honestly a tap in, like a foot and a half or whatever. I've hit it close lots of times, and I've hit it in from the fairway lots of times.
I've hit it in a couple times. Yeah.
Like
same distance ish.
Same exactly. I've hit it in from 150 in the Burlington Invitationals a couple years ago. I hit a 4-iron, like 195 into the freaking cup. So.
That's like flighting a 2-iron.
I flighted, but I'm pretty long shot from the field, but I don't know, man. I think when it happens, if it ever happens to me, I don't know if my reaction's going to be like going crazy like Sean and his friends. I think it'll just be more of relief. Like, finally, just let it just go in once so I can move on from this.
Yeah. I think it'll be a lot of fun, but of course you will make a lot of You'll just make hay with it. It'll be so much fun.
Maybe that's the day I'll retire. I'll go, okay, thank you. Good night. Check, please.
Good night, golf.
Good night, golf.
Mic drop moment.
Let's move on to this subject of a video that you sent me that I promise I will watch one of these days. You were so funny before the show. You said, hey, that video I sent you, did you, and you named off 2 or 3 reasons that I may not have watched it. One I didn't want to, but I said, you forgot the reason that I just forgot. Every time it's come up, I'm like, oh yeah, I was gonna watch that. But the subject of it is of interest, I think, will be of interest to people listening. And maybe you could just take us through it.
Yeah. Well, the context for so the video, I think we called it, are you worried that your junior golfer is struggling and you don't know what to do about it? Oh, that's close to it anyways. But I've been working for about 6-8 months with a handful of high school age golfers, all of whom have the goal of getting a college scholarship. So they're very good players. But like most golfers, once they get into tournaments, and if they don't have a history of playing in tournaments, they struggle. And it really makes parents worry and anxious about what's going on for my kid. Is his or her dream going to die? Am I doing enough? Is their swing off? Do they have the right coach? What am I doing? And then it just they become so frustrated and so worried that,
Hmm.
and it happens uh, obviously for parents of any athlete. I watched it. I have a one of my sons played AAA hockey, and I watched all these parents. And it's every Canadian hockey fan is aware we have like the dreaded hockey parent. So you also have the golf parent who is over involved, too much advice, judging, criticizing, and so even the parents who are trying to do their best, and you have the parents who live vicariously through their kids. To me, the greatest problem that can come out of this is not just the fact that maybe Johnny doesn't win the golf tournament or Jane doesn't get the college scholarship, but they irreparably harm the relationship with their kid. I mean,
Hmm.
I've just seen it over and over again, and I've done a lot of work in this area of parents and
And if I
kids.
may just say, probably also harm, not to mention the kid's relationship with the game.
Oh, totally, man. There's all kinds of kids that I know, even though probably kids who like, even like, piano. They were very good at that or something else and they quit. Why? Give that to the parents because they're
Yeah.
done. They're done being forced into something or being criticized and being probed and questioned. So the video was largely, I made it in conjunction with TJ Alley, who I've been working with as her mental performance coach for her golf academies, GTS and Zone Golf Academy, just to kind of help parents through things, gives them try to give them an understanding of what actually happens for their kids psychologically and emotionally, rather than a lot of the things that the parents think and quite frankly project onto their kids.
And so, what are some of the things that you recommend, or what are some of the tenets that you would like parents to think about when it comes to their athletic children?
Well, one of the things is let go for sure. I'll give you a quick story. I had a fellow, it was about 4 or 5 years ago, whose son was at the time about 12, and this kid could fall out of bed and shoot 65.
Wow.
And then he was starting to struggle a bit. And, the dad's caddying for him, and the kid's starting to have some meltdowns. And he phones me and he says, my kid is like, he's starting to really struggle. He's getting having these temper tantrums. And I'm saying, so you're caddying for him, right? And so what are you trying to do? Well, I'm trying to cheer him up, give him a little bit of advice. And I said, well, what's happening? Well, it's getting worse. And I said, well, yes. I said, so we finally got to this. I said, does your kid want you to be his coach or his dad?
Hmm.
And he went, dad. Why? Because relationships are hard enough. So it's just kind of a story to exemplify that you've got to maintain that balance between being a loving parent, love your kid unconditionally. Doesn't matter whether they
Yes.
shoot 92 or 72, you love them unconditionally.
If I may just say, it's very analogous, and I just thought of this. And again, I will watch the video. It's very it's analogous to what you hear about when child stars are managed by their parents. Famously, Jason Bateman, actor, podcaster now, was managed by his dad and mom for many years. And there was, as he said recently, I saw this in an article. He said at some point, the interviewer says to him, did you fire your parents as managers?" And he said, "I got to an age where, somewhere in his 20s, where it was no longer sort of, I don't know how he put it, not seemly, but no longer advantageous to have your parents managing you."
Oh, yeah. But there's also all these horror stories, right? Like
Yes.
Sean O'Hare's father, was like, it turned out to be just a awful. It was like abuse, I think for every bogey he made, he had to run a mile or something.
Yeah, just
And,
terrible.
and tennis parents
Well,
and,
and you ask, and hockey parents, but you ask a good question of that father. Do you want to? Are you looking to be their coach, or are you looking to be their parent? And parent should always win out.
oh, totally. I mean, you have your whole life, but, unfortunately, and people who've been involved, particularly in hockey in Canada, and perhaps, in the United States too, but these, particularly it's the dads, unfortunately, majority, is they live vicariously through their kid. If my kid makes the double A team, oh, it must mean as a dad that, oh, I have a degree of athletic talent. I earn enough money that my kid could do this. So
Yeah, the
it's this
chip off the old
reflected
block kind of
glory.
thing. Yeah, yeah.
So And unfortunately, that's what we do as people. We project our nonsense on people all over the place as opposed to letting them be. So I'll come back to that. You asked, what's the key thing for parents? Let go.
Yeah.
Your kid is not mini you, a separate individual that has his or her own life. Let it go. Yes, you can parent, things around, say, morals and integrity, things like that, hold boundaries. But if your kid misses five fairways or doesn't back check, that's not the time to be laying into them and criticizing and asking all these questions. Why, why? You're just going to
Well, I mean,
damage the relationship with your kid.
I think about how my dad parented me with hockey and golf, which was two of his favorite sports. And, I got pretty good at those pretty young. And then I think about the way my daughters who played soccer, one of my daughters, the older one, played, pretty high level soccer in Ontario, just below the Ontario level. And I remember I didn't know anything about the sport. And just enjoyed my favorite. It's funny when I think about this. My favorite times as a dad were some of those rides back from a game, just listening to her talk and having those alone times in the car. And because I didn't really have any, what'd you call it, reflected glory or
Living vicariously through your
yeah,
kid.
exactly. Because I had no, really context for soccer or expertise other than just, she would ask me what I thought of her game and I would tell her, but only from a standpoint of an observer as opposed to somebody that had really any knowledge of it. But mostly it was the time alone in the car. And when you think about your childhood or your child's childhood, I think those are the things that most of us will miss because
Oh, totally.
it's just that sweetest time. And for parents who are, as you describe them, living vicariously, reflected glory or whatever, I mean, they're missing out on that.
Oh, totally. Yeah. And unfortunately, I think that, for most of us, we, carry, it's a word that gets bandied about a lot, is trauma. I mean, we carry traumas and things that come down from generations, because your father, my father, they got effed up by their parents. We've effed up our own kids, before them. It's just this, it goes on and on. But it takes a degree of awareness to understand that, you know what? I love my kid. I hope that he or she can live up to her potential. She can achieve her dreams, win the tournament, the scholarship, whatever. But it's their own life. And so what I find is that so some of the things I was saying in this video to parents was, the best you can do is just be a good model. Just live your life responsibly, do things, take action, just model being a good person as opposed to being the advice monger or the judge or the reporter asking all these questions. Because I don't know about you, but I hate being probed when things aren't going well. Just a wall goes up, and that
I hate
wall,
being
yeah, and that wall makes you, yeah, you hate being probed,
I'm
right?
so sorry.
Thank you, thank
I'm
you.
so mature. I was going to say I hate being probed. Just, maybe on the second or third date, but not right away. Don't start
Or
with
maybe,
that.
or if the doctor's
Sorry.
wearing a latex glove,
Yeah, I
that's fine.
apologize. I know. Sorry, I apologize for bringing my own stupid immaturity into this. But you make great. You're making great points, and I think any parent would be wise to have a conversation with you because, again, in the end, 10 years after they don't play in the NHL, all they're going to remember is what a dick you were while they were playing AAA or the same version of golf. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or they haven't phoned you in 3 years.
Yeah.
Or when you have dinner with them, it's kind of this, you wish to connect, but you're not. I mean, that to me is the greatest harm, is that you're going to damage this relationship with your kid. And to me, if you want to influence your kids, you maintain a great relationship. That's what you do.
Yep.
Because if you don't have that relationship, you'll have zero influence on whether you want them to be doing their homework, uh, showing up at their job on time or back checking. You
Yep.
you want to just be a positive role model, but not the advice giver. And
Yeah.
because Uh, we all hate that. We have our own sense of agency and freedom, and so when we start to get all that stuff pounded on us, it's like, oh, talk to the hand, man.
Okay. You're talking about our fathers and our fathers' fathers and men in general versus, I mean, I think sometimes, and again, this is generalization, but, yes, there's the tiger mom, the meddling mom, but there's, as you say, a lot of it is dads living vicariously through their kids. So this clip I'm about to play, now it has a golf component to it. But, and it's funny because I was going to play it on the show this morning, on the Humble and Fred show. And we just didn't have time. But when I was previewing the clip, I was like about 40, 50 seconds in, it turns to golf. But I think you'll like it. It's only about it's a couple of minutes long. But there is a golf component to it. So just be patient. This is a Bill Burr bit talking about men. And it's called the drop dead years. I don't need it. It doesn't need much more explanation than that. But have a listen, and then we can talk about, how guys react to things versus how women do. So here you go.
Like, as a man, I am in my drop dead years, which are basically ages 49 to about 61. Anything past that, you're just looking at like a prolonged illness, But these are the years that men drop dead. And dropping dead is a uniquely male experience, right? Women don't drop dead. When was the last time you were out to brunch and there was some woman, hey, I get my mouth done, just grabs her chest and face down into some tapas? Oh my God, Kathy, right? They don't. Men drop dead all the fucking time. You're out there on the golf course, some guy fucking, all of a sudden, just fucking into the shrubs. Another guy driving at you in a cart, his buddy just falls out the side. What happened? You know what happened. He never cried. That's what happened.
That's the line I love. What happened? He never cried.
I love Bill Burr. I love Bill Burr.
What happened? He never cried is what happened. It's so good that and it's so funny because it's so true. You really, like, women just, yes, they have heart attacks, but not at the rate that guys do. For the reason that we just keep so much inside. We have so much unresolved tension. And, we've spent 10 years on this show talking about guys losing their shit, me especially, before I became God's leader. You think about, we're supposed to be playing this game for fun. And I'm heading somewhere here eventually, so just come with me. And for the longest time, I didn't realize that, Fred Shoemaker, first reference, but, it's come up a lot recently because my buddy Grant has gone on a deep dive into the Shoemaker world. And we were talking about it just last night. Oh, yeah.
Nice. I'll check in with him.
He just said to me last night, he goes, I'm starting to sound like Tim. I said, I said close, but not yet. But, I recounted a couple of conversations that we had and one or two that I had with Fred privately about golf just for golf's sake. I'm not sure if I'm going to explain what I mean, but for the longest time, I always golfed with a purpose or reason. I'm working on my game and I'm getting ready for a tournament or I need to shoot a low score. Mostly that, because I still work on my game and get ready for tournaments now, but it doesn't affect me the way that it did before I became God's leader. What the show has basically shown me and a lot of other people is that I know it's going to sound simple, but there is golf. There is a way to play golf, and this is what Fred and I were talking about once, that just for the pure joy, the pure enjoyment of the activity and the act of doing it. One of the things that Shoemaker was saying to me once was talking about the way he would go out some days at the end of a day and just hit balls with no agenda, not even noticing anything, not even just for the pure enjoyment of being able to hit a ball into the sky and observe and feel it. And I didn't know I was going to play this clip this morning, but I had written down yesterday because I played 9 holes by myself last night. I don't get to do that very often. I started at about 4:15, 4:30, and it was nice. Listen, I know everybody in Canada is suffering. It's cold as shit, but It was a cooler it was a cooler day here yesterday. It wasn't like punishing 30-degree weather. It was like 23, 24, a bit overcast, a little bit of a breeze. So I'm trying to set up that it was a very pleasant afternoon. And I went out by myself and I hit 2 or 3 balls on some holes and some holes I didn't. But I wasn't working on anything. I was just playing it for the sake of the enjoyment of playing it. I wasn't keeping score. I made some amazing. I was telling Grant last night, I had a couple of shots. One in particular on a par 5, I hit the green in 2 on a par 5, and I hit it close, like 10 feet from 215. And when I watched that ball in the sky, like when I went to sleep last night, that's what I was thinking about. Nice. Just that moment of watching it and how it felt, and it wasn't like, oh, because I was working on this swing move from whatever. I just hit it. And I think that, the reason that he said the men never cry, it's like we never appreciate. I think that I never appreciated as a younger man in this game. I never appreciated that there was a way to play it and a reason to play it that didn't include, and you've pointed this out to me, the striving, the craving, the craving mind. But in golf, it's always like we're striving towards something. And I don't get the chance, or I didn't as a younger man. I do more now, where I feel the gratitude of the moment, the gratitude of that hour and 20 minutes I spent by myself on the golf course yesterday afternoon. That was as satisfying as any round of, tournament golf that I could play. Like, it was really something. And, I don't know if I've made the point that I was trying to make, but just golf for golf's sake, without an agenda, is a kind of golf that I want to play more of. And I part of it is because we've all done it. When you get a chance to play by yourself at the end of the day and the sun's a certain way, and without getting too poetic, it really is it's kind of magical, right? But I didn't always appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great story, man. I totally relate. We could even take that back to what we've talked about, things we've talked about on this show before. Intention. The intention is, I'm just going to enjoy today. I don't know how many people I've talked to who went out, say they took their father out to the golf course and they was just paying attention to their father, and miraculously they score well. I remember taking Sean out our years ago to Blue Springs. Our schedules finally allowed that we could have an evening together, and it was all about sharing time with Sean. And, watching his shots and just being with him on the golf course on a lovely summer evening. And I shot 37 without even realizing it wasn't that important. But one of the things is that, coming back to Fred Shoemaker, now what you're talking about, that experience, that is just so counterintuitive to the golf culture. Because the golf culture, pretty well all the messages we get through online, everywhere, from everybody, it's all about, how do I get better at golf? And coming back to Fred Shoemaker, I've heard him say a number of times, he doesn't think the objective of golf is to get better at it. Really. Like, it's not to get better. There's so many other things that could happen that you could learn about yourself. You could just appreciate the people you're playing with more, your own health, just enjoying being outside, all these different things, some of which you described. But what's interesting about that is that when you have this kind of bigger picture way of experiencing the game and yourself, as a bonus, you generally play better.
And we've both said that in different ways, many different times on this show. But is the bonus of playing better isn't even the point. It just seems to be a side. It's like a result. But yeah, so I don't want people to be confused that, okay, if I adopt this attitude, I'll play better. The point is,
correct.
I went out yesterday. Like, I had a long day yesterday. I worked out. I went on a long bike ride. It was later in the day that I went to golf. And like, I don't know, I wasn't really in the mood to work on anything. I just wanted to kind of experience the golf course. And I don't get a chance to do that very much back home, where, to go out by yourself and not be thinking of, like, could I have my personal best score here today?
Totally. It shifts, in essence, the context of golf and your experience. It just kind of it becomes kind of what I would almost call a wider experience, a deeper
Yes.
one. I mean, it just sounds very kind of spiritual, but we're so you come back to the striving, the craving. I got to get better at this. I got to get my index down, et cetera, et cetera. There's always this trying and efforting, and
Hmm.
what that tends to do is just keep us in our heads.
Yes.
Am I doing the right thing? Oh, should I be doing this, or maybe it's the wrong model or whatever. And unfortunately, what happens in the same thing, that if you're looking at a sunset going, oh, when's the right time to take a picture of this? Oh, I wish the sun would stay up a little bit more in the sky. You're not experiencing the sunset.
Yeah, bingo.
You're thinking about it in the same way you're thinking about, oh, is my elbow dropping in front of my right hip at the right time? You're not present to your experience. And so what a goofy way to go through life, for God's sakes.
But it's the culture of the game, as you pointed out. It doesn't seem to include that part, but to our little corner
There's
of
no
the golf.
money in it.
Well, and yeah, there is and there isn't. There is some money because we're trying to make money. But I'm saying in our corner of the golf universe, and this has happened almost from the beginning of the sort of our raison d'etre, our manifesto, if you will, was to explore the mental side of the game. But I think at some point early on, it's shifted with the help of different people like Judson Brewer and Shoemaker et al. It's because I used to think. And Kent Osborne, our buddy, brought this up at one point in a little debate we had. Are people adopting the mental performance side of the game to get better, or should you just look at golf as a spiritual pursuit? And I was sort of pushing back, and I say, no matter what you're doing, whether you're looking at it, gratitude being the main driving force of your game, somewhere in your brain it's also, well, if I do that, will I get better? And I'm guilty of that. Yes, I made a couple of birdies there yesterday. I had a kick-in birdie on the eagle putt that I had in the par 5, but it wasn't like, oh yay, I made a birdie. It was just like, I'm just out here now, and I've got no responsibilities. I'm by myself for a couple of weeks, and then my girlfriend's coming down here, so I'm kind of on my own. And I could have told you what I shot yesterday with one of the balls I played, but who cares, right? Like, it was more like every hole was a fun adventure for me. I drop a few balls, hit some close, hit one in the bush. I didn't really even care. When I left, I had such a nice feeling of, as I wrote down as soon as I got home, golf for golf's sake, not for the sake of what can I get, what score can I get out of, what can golf give me? Well, what it gave me yesterday afternoon was an experience, not the score, not the things I've been working on all winter. It was just this experience.
Yeah.
And as you say, sometimes when that's your driving force, sometimes the golf kind of takes care of itself.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's one of the classic tropes of any kind of redemption story or anything. It's not about the striving to meet a standard, win a title, win a certain amount of money, get the promotion. It's when we kind of like fall back into just having the experience. What Judson Brewer, you mentioned, that intrinsic feeling of joy that you feel inside. It's just a total inside thing. It has nothing to do with the external world. And so a great example, and happen, we see it in movies and hear it in plays, whatever, maybe in some music, but there's the story of the person who's striving, and they finally just engage in whatever they're doing for its own sake and how it feels to them. And so what I'm leading to is I finally watched the Brad Pitt movie, F1, the movie. Have you seen
Yeah,
it?
I've seen it. Yeah, it's a great movie.
Yeah, I mean, and it's such a formula movie, right? But it doesn't matter. It's great. But
Yeah, it's a classic hero's journey movie,
all of that stuff. Yeah. And so so there it is. All these, he's the mentor, he's the old guy. It's the team is striving to finally get points and finally win. And finally at the end, the things come together. I guess spoiler alert. I don't know.
It's an old enough movie if you haven't seen it.
There you go. And so things happen in a certain way that he's in the top 4, and then He's in the lead in the last event of the Formula One European Tour circuit. And one of the guys in the pit crew, they got the headsets on. And he goes, "What's he doing?" As Brad Pitt's driving, and the woman says he's flying,
Right.
because that's all he said he was in it for, was that. So he was, you could call it, in flow, in the zone, just feeling it. And of course, yeah, he wins. And just stereotypically, like in the natural, everything, there's fireworks, music, craziness. And then he leaves everything early and he ends up, driving the Baja just because he loves driving.
He
So
loves to drive, yeah.
it just comes back to, if you just come back to it, we just love to, if you strip down, what do we enjoy about golf? Wow, being outside, hitting a ball, having fun, being with friends, family, all that other stuff. So the last Shoemaker thing I'll add, I watched a video of him in, I think it was 2014 or something like that. He's at the PGA of America teaching summit, and he he said something to the fact of, he asked everyone, "So you guys are among the best golfers in the world. So are you happy?" He said no one really put up their hands at all. He says it's silence.
Yeah, of course.
So,
Let me just take a quick break here before we finish and say that if you've been feeling stiff or sore, like your body just isn't moving the way it used to be, check out Par for Success and put in the /Humble and Fred and get a free 45-minute consultation. It's not just for golfers, but we golfers love doing it. I just passed, this won't surprise you, I just had on the app that I use, the Par for Success app, 2 days ago was my 140th workout using their method since September. And I can tell you, even if you're not a golfer, although if you're listening to this show, you are, but it works whether you're going for a run, playing with your grandkids, or just getting through a long day without your back or shoulders lighting up. Par for Success focuses on strength, flexibility, and mobility that actually carries over, and it's personalized. No cookie cuckoo. No cookie. I'll try that again. Take 3. No cookie cutter workouts. No one-size-fits-all plans. Everything is built around your body. So get to Par number 4, success.com/Humble and Fred, and start moving and feeling better. All right, let's wrap this up.
nice talking heads there.
Yeah, very cool. I thought you'd enjoy that. It's cool. I knew you'd recognize that too. That's a pretty obscure one called "This Must Be the Place."
Yeah, it's from their last album, I think.
That, in fact, is a remastery of that. Hey, before we finish today, let's introduce our producer again, Nicholas Frias. Nicholas, in charge of our social media. If you've been following us the last couple of weeks, all those videos you're seeing are because of this kid. Nicholas, tell everybody where. First of all, how you feeling? I know you were really sick.
I'm feeling all right, like you said. I think I just got the sniffles today, so I think I'm just starting the sick phase, but should be good in a week
I think
maybe.
it's weird. I think it's weird that you caught a cold from O'Connor just on Zoom. Which I find
Yeah,
fascinating.
I know that was a possible thing, but here we are.
That's right. So, Nick, tell everyone how they can connect with us.
Yeah, so we have Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. So on Instagram, you can follow us at swing_thoughts_podcast. Twitter, it's the same thing, swing_thoughts_podcast. And YouTube, Swing Thoughts Podcast, all one word. That's where you can find a bunch of shorts, a bunch of short form videos of the shows that you guys are doing right now.
All right, pal. Very good. Appreciate you. Thanks for doing this. And thanks for everyone that's been listening. If you want to connect with Mr. Tim O'Connor, this is how you do it. Tim?
Yeah, through o'connorgolf.ca. And speaking of YouTube, that video that we talked about that I did in conjunction with TJ Atley at Parents, you can watch a short and the entire version on YouTube. So just check it out. Just put in Swing Thoughts Podcast, as Nick said, and you'll find it. And if you like if you like to read good stuff, hopefully you could look at my Substack, toconnor.substack.com.
I'm very proud of the fact that you and I got through this entire show 3 days after the Canadians got ripped off at the Olympics. Anyway, you can get you can also get
I blogged about it.
Also, you can get a hold of the Humble and Fred show at Humble and Fred. Just go, you can find us. If you don't know where we are by now, you'll never find us. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Way on down south.